All right. We're up, we're up, we're up, we're up and we're flying, we're up and we're flying, we're up and we're flying. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Free Refill, episode number 49, one away from 50 episodes of Free Refill as we tackle episode 49 today. I'm just now realizing that I can't spell in my own title. You know, I really wish I would have this down at this point, right? Because I mean, what did I spell wrong? Wow, it was just that. It was just that. All right, there we go. Now it says correct. Now it's spelled correctly. Anyways, welcome into another episode of Free Refill. We've got some big stuff to be discussing on this episode. Two big trades over the last 2 days in the NFL. Trent McDuffie sent to the Los Angeles Rams from the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs got a very big haul for their stud corner. The Bills adding on some receiver help in the form of DJ Moore. We're going to talk about the implications of both of those trades, as well as get into another arguably even larger superstar that has very much been in trade discussions this offseason. And then we'll be wrapping up with a little bit of NBA talk because Jayson Tatum himself is set to make his return from his Achilles injury that has sidelined him for so far the entirety of the year, and is back after just 10 months essentially, which is going to be very big for the Boston Celtics as we start to get into the NBA playoff push. So that's going to be big. I'm excited. I hope y'all are excited too. So we're going to jump right into just kind of the NFL trades, and then we'll get on to Tatum a little bit. The first major topic of today, of course, is the Bills acquiring DJ Moore from the Chicago Bears. The Bills were likely to address the receiver position either in free agency or the draft, and they have done it very early by going out and getting DJ Moore for, I believe it was, they got DJ Moore and a 5th-round pick and gave up a 2nd-round pick to do it. So they still keep relative number of picks. They just won't have that 2nd-round pick for 2026. I think a lot of knee-jerk reactions to this trade are just generally it's fairly even, and based on further deeper analysis, it is, a pretty darn even Steven trade just in general. I don't really see, let's talk for the Bills, they were going to address the wide receiver position. DJ Moore is an excellent fit, I believe, for someone like Josh Allen, who is your conventional deep ball thrower, right? We all know the deep ball of an arm that Josh Allen, the cannon of an arm that Josh Allen has for throwing the deep ball. DJ Moore is your traditional deep ball receiver. He's not one of the best he's not like a strict deep ball receiver, like say like a Jameson Williams in Detroit. But he's definitely got that part in his repertoire, in his bag, and it was really had some of his better seasons, was actually able to help Justin Fields have some of his better seasons, so you can only imagine what Josh Allen is going to have with DJ Moore at his disposal, and it allows especially a lot of pressure. It takes a lot of pressure off of some of the other guys, like say if they were to keep Keon Coleman as well as Khalil Shakir. It takes a little bit of pressure off the tight ends as well, opens up the field a little bit, forces guys to play over the top, keep guys on the backside, or rather deep in two deep safeties. So then, as a result, by adding that, it opens things underneath for guys like Shakir and Keon Coleman to have easier sort of one-on-one matches, not have to have too many guys over the top of them. I think it's going to help them out tremendously. And I think for Chicago, not that DJ Moore was bad or anything necessarily, it's just there were starting to become too many cooks in the kitchen. And I think Chicago was starting to very clearly have the guys that they like. They love Colston Loveland, and they are looking to get more of Luther Burden involved. And Rome Odunze was another first-round pick that they had added. So that's kind of the trio of pass catchers that they really want to emphasize. And with DJ Moore, it just doesn't – there's not really a perfect fit there in Chicago in any other capacity. I think it was a smart decision. Chicago gets to make a move. They now acquire a 2nd-round pick to potentially add another young rookie, whether on defense or offense, to help them. It might be a lineman with the sudden surprise retirement of Drew Dahlman. It could potentially be someone in free agency. We saw DJ Moore. By trading him, you're freeing up $16.5 million in cap space. So now you can actually add, maybe got someone who's more fit to be a wide receiver 3 to Rome Odunze and to Burden as an actual wide receiver 3, and not at a $16.5 million cap hit. So that's big for Chicago. I think it's overall really good. It's overall really even Steven trade. I think it's very important that Buffalo made this move because they made it very clear they needed another wide receiver. Keon Coleman was supposed to be the guy to step up to do that. He did his best performance week 1 and then never was quite that guy again. So that's why they've made this move. I think it's smart. I think it's a logical decision. Bills made the right call in this, and they didn't also give up a whole lot to do it. Really, you're just a second round pick sounds like a lot, but if you're also getting back a 5th round pick, you're fulfilling a need. It really, I don't see any real loss for Buffalo. I think DJ Moore will produce. I think DJ Moore, I won't say guaranteed will have 1,000 yards because James Cook and Josh Allen running the ball are still huge parts of that offense. But I expect DJ Moore to help them in either the run game by taking the top off the defense or helping their other receivers get open underneath. And then I think Chicago, there wasn't really room for him at that point. There just wasn't, especially with how much Chicago emphasizes the run game with guys like Monungai and Swift, and them drafting Luther Burden, already having a Dunze in-house, and drafting Loveland, and Loveland looking like one of the better pass-catching tight ends for years to come. Unfortunately, Moore, as talented as he is, just doesn't quite have a complete fit in Chicago anymore as much as he would be able to actually produce much more in a place like Buffalo. And Buffalo needed it. We all watched them in Denver struggle without a pass catcher. I think this is big for Buffalo. I don't think they're done either on the Bills. I don't think this is the only one player that they're going to go get for wide receiver. Darnell Mooney, I saw, was released from Atlanta. I would consider trying to get him at a reasonable deal because I think he is, when healthy, a reliable number 3 pass catcher at this point, or at least just to add some depth for the Buffalo Bills. I don't hate that move either. So if they can go out, find a couple nice receivers in the mix, I definitely think there are options there in that regard. But if they stop at DJ Moore, it's clearly not enough. I think they're either going to attack in the draft again, which they might, but they might be hesitant to do that based on previous frustrations in Keon Coleman. I wouldn't be hesitant, but they might be. And then in terms of free agency, again, I think Mooney's a nice option. I think there will also be some other just receivers to add depth to the position to help them out later, because Buffalo's run out of options. This is really feels like a Super Bowl or bust kind of year. It feels that way every year with Buffalo, but especially after moving off Sean McDermott, I don't think they can afford to be so passive this offseason. I think they really need to start making moves. I know some people have also mentioned a Stephon Diggs reunion after he got released from the Patriots. I think that bridge is sort of burned. I know bridge is ever completely burned, especially in the professional, at the NFL level. But I think the Stephon Diggs to Buffalo Bills thing is a little burned. Wyan Rel Cinco 2121. Hey man, appreciate you for popping out saying Bills. It would be fun though. It would be interesting to see DJ Moore and Stephon Diggs teaming up back in Buffalo. I don't see it just because the way that bridge burned a few years ago, especially with kind of what Diggs. We've all seen the meme of the Diggs side eye. I still feel like there's beef there. Maybe they can come back and hash it out, and it'll be a big time reunion. But it'd be interesting to see. If it's not the Bills or if it's not some other place, it's 100% the Titans though. That's where every washed receiver goes when their career's done. Whether it's Julio, D-Hop, Calvin Ridley, any wide receiver, just Tyler Lockett, unfortunately, right? Now that's the most likely destination. Going and catching passes from Cam Ward. Here we go. Oh, I feel that's gotta be. But it would be funny. Oh man, appreciate you for popping out, Cinco. I appreciate it. But But I think it'll be an interesting fit. I think DJ Moore, though, works, and I think overall it was smart of Chicago to move him. The other big trade, I'm going to switch gears to the other big trade that happened Wednesday, where I was not live to talk about it, so we'll get into that one as well. The Rams going ahead and acquiring Trent McDuffie. That one also, I think this was a very... It was treated as a blockbuster, which in effect it is. There are only so many very good corners in the league. We can talk about... I mean, there are actually a lot of good corners, but when these good corners get traded, like, I mean, we got Surtain up there, Christian Gonzalez, Quinyon Mitchell, we'd argue, is one of the better corners. Trent McDuffie, I'd argue, is a top 10 corner. I know he had a down year in comparison to what he was able to do in 2024. 2025, there were some rough years. I remember the Dallas game being one of significance, mostly because, A, we kind of all saw the Dallas game, and like a lot of us would have seen Cowboys play the Chiefs. And secondly, he was committing a lot of bad penalties going up against CD and George Pickens. So, I mean, that's a tough matchup, to be fair. But Trent McDuffie still has a lot left in the tank, obviously. He's not like he's due for a big contract. I think the Rams debatably may pay him. I don't know if that's the case. But the full trade package deals, I'm going to pull it up because I don't fully remember all of it. I know it was the 29th pick, and then it was, I believe, it was 5th and 6th round picks this year, and then a 2027 third round pick. So Chiefs are getting 4 picks over the next 2 years, including a first rounder this year, and the Rams are acquiring a high-level corner, which clearly the Rams needed. I mean, we all watched the NFC Championship game between the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams, and yeah, Sam Darnold carved them up absolutely. Jackson Smith and Jigba had a historic, 150 yards on what was it, 10, 12 catches? It was a very... They got after him, and when you have JSN in your division who is starting to become... If he's not already there as like a top 3 receiver, people are going to start establishing that, especially if he's able to repeat that success next year. If you're the Rams, you don't want that success happening against you. You want a corner who can match up with him. Nobody in that cornerback room, as well as they played. They had some guys who had some underrated seasons. Kobe Durant comes to mind. Emmanuel Forbes. Kitchens is a safety, but he also was solid as well at moments. But at the end of the day, if you're the Rams and you watch that game, you said, shoot, we need some help on the back end. Trent McDuffie 100% needs to be someone that we go out and get. Or maybe another corner, but I think Trent McDuffie was going to be the best one available based on the situation that the Chiefs are in. And I think this is what the Rams do. The Rams constantly take big swings. They've traded for Jalen Ramsey. They've added like Eric Weddle midseason, which maybe wasn't a big swing at the time, but still. They're always going for these these guys that they know are good right off the jump. They've added like Clay Matthews at one point. We obviously know they had a big trade for Matthew Stafford. They went out and were aggressive and went out and got Devontae Adams. And they're able to do that because of how well they pick in the middle rounds. I mean, we've seen guys who are contributors, like especially on offense when you look at just Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, and Puka Nacua. I mean, Kyron Williams, borderline top 10 running back. You've got, I think some people would say he's out of there, but I think he's very consistent based on what we've seen in his first few years. Not to mention just having arguably the best receiver in the league that you draft in the 5th round. And then Blake Corum, who's a great complement to Kyron Williams, and they're able to continue to build up this roster with those mid-round picks. So as a result, you can afford to give up, say, a first-round pick because they still have their 13th overall pick in the draft itself. Who knows if they even keep that? They may move that to go get someone else. And then, of course, being able to add or even trade back is very possible as well. And then doing that, allowing yourself to be able to go out and get a Trent McDuffie. This has kind of been their thing. This has kind of been their role, the way they've been rolling with a lot of these big-time players. They've been doing this for a while. They've been doing this for a while now. This is nothing new for the Rams, and they keep doing it. And the interesting thing is, it's very hard to repeat the success the Rams have. Because when you think about it, you know who has more first-round picks these last few years than the Rams? The Jets. It's like, do first-round picks matter? Yeah, kind of. But there is an argument to be made that first-round picks right now in the NFL could be overvalued based on what we're seeing. Because, and you know, there's an argument to be made. But at the end of the day, the Rams don't value them as much. They don't see that they're able to kind of see through that overvaluation. Because when you think about it, remember, a third of those first-round picks bust, right? And if you're able to give up, you're like, oh, you're giving up a 66% chance to get a good player. Sure, but you're giving it up with a couple extra picks that most likely are not going to be stars, at least not guaranteed, with the idea that, oh, we're getting a guy that we know is good, we know will fit into our roster well, and we know will produce for us. And that's why they're doing it with Trent McDuffie. And it works. And the Rams are going to, Trent McDuffie, I think, is going to have, let me start over. Trent McDuffie, I think, is going to have a bounce-back year next year. He had a down year in 2025. I think he will bounce back in 2026, especially because, again, the Rams are still going to be good offensively. They're not going to go anywhere. They're still going to have Puka Nacua. They're going to have Kyron Williams. Sean McVay is still in the building. The offense will be good again. And that will allow, and Trent McDuffie doesn't have to be on the field. Whereas this year, I feel like the Chiefs defense had to be on the field in a lot of situations just because the Chiefs did not have a good enough running game or even passing game for that matter. Kyron Williams, not fully healthy. Or excuse me, not Kyron Williams. You had Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. That was the duo. You had Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. That was your main duo. That's not enough. And if you're Kansas City trading McDuffie, it makes a lot of sense. As good as McDuffie may be, if you're getting another first round pick this year, so you have another potential player that can contribute right away. You're going to have some later round picks to get some more depth, which I think you need at a lot of different spots, particularly at wide receiver. At least particularly wide receiver and running back. You get another third round pick next year. And again, based on everything we saw in 2025, Chiefs aren't contenders. They're not going into next year the favorites to win the division. They're not going, they're going to have probably plus odds to make the playoffs. I think. Because Travis Kelce's going to get a year older, whether he plays again or not. He may retire, right? Your best wide receiver is Rashee Rice, who we've already known is off the field trouble, was already suspended to start the season, right? They don't have any help in the backfield. Their offensive line significantly regressed from 2024 to 2025. And Patrick Mahomes, is he going to be ready week one? Do we know that? We don't know. Is he going to be on the field week one ready to start? So looking at all of that, if you're the Chiefs, you have to say, well, we have to rebuild. And we have to give up some of our good players, like maybe a young player like a Trent McDuffie, to say we got to retool on our defensive line. We have to maybe look for who's going to take over for Chris Jones when he's not quite the guy anymore. Who's going to be the next main pass catcher at tight end? Where are we going to look to retool the offensive line, right? And that's something you can do with multiple draft picks. And Trent McDuffie's good, but it's not your biggest need right now. Your biggest need is redefining your offense. That's your biggest priority right now if you're Kansas City, is getting back to being able to move the ball efficiently, whether Patrick is playing or not. Because again, you may not have him week one. You've got to be able to build the best possible offense regardless of who's going out there at quarterback. That means improving your offensive line. That means improving the pass catchers you've got. And I think most importantly, I think offensive line would be most important. But I think definitely you got to look at that backfield and say, Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, you're gone. You're out. I'm done. You got to go out and... remember, when you found Pacheco and went on that run when he was like a rookie, you thought you found a gem for like a couple seasons. It was clearly not meant to be a gem long term. So I think if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, this was the best. Obviously, if you look last year and we're like, we're trading Trent McDuffie, you have to kind of move McDuffie or else you're just admitting, yeah, we're just gonna not make the playoffs again next year. In my opinion, I think you have to make some moves and get a little aggressive in both free agency and the draft. Make a couple decisions and listen. It may end up we find out Trent McDuffie is the reason this team wins the Super Bowl for the Rams. But if Trent McDuffie stayed in with the Kansas City Chiefs, ain't no shot. There's just no chance that if Trent McDuffie stays in Kansas City, that the Chiefs are just going to be like, we're good. We're all set. We didn't change anything, but we're going to be fine. I think 100% offensive line needs to be a priority in the draft. And then from there, I mean, there have been some mocks where Kansas City takes Jeremiah Love. That's what I would do. I mean, I don't know if Love falls outside the top 10 based on what I'm seeing in most mocks, but if I'm Kansas City and Love is on the board, I need some sort of weapon in the backfield, because the two I had last year was Kareem Hunt, who was somehow slower than Najee Harris. Like, I remember, like, I'm a big Steelers guy, for those who don't know. So watching Najee Harris run, like, especially like for the entirety of the season, I didn't think there was a slower running back, and then I've seen Kareem Hunt the last couple years, and now I get it. That was nowhere close to what slow could have been. And then, of course, Pacheco, who is genuinely just catching the football and running backwards. So Kansas City needs to reboot or retool, and that's, I think, the best option. I think Jeremiah Love is probably one of the best options, and, of course, getting these draft picks. Now, those are two of the bigger trades that we've seen. I expect there to be more. There will be more throughout the NFL offseason. I will be covering them alongside as the NBA season ramps up. I will also be covering any more of these trades. So if you're interested in seeing me cover those trades, subscribe. And then watch me just come on here Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays and just rant. But yeah. So, after that, now, there is one big trade candidate that has already been talked about, pretty much even going into kind of the end of the regular season, when this team decided, you know what, we're just going to bench you so you don't get hurt, and, you know, we want to tank, basically is what they were saying, and didn't like it too much, and now that's where we're at with Maxx Crosby and trade rumors. So where is Maxx Crosby going to end up? That's kind of been a big talk, not the biggest talk, but definitely some talk around the league. The two major spots that I have heard, and I am a believer that make the most sense. The first one being the Chicago Bears. That has been a major talk that the Bears are looking to make a big move to take them from fun playoff contender to Super Bowl contender. A trade for Maxx Crosby would certainly could be in the works, could be in the cards. With what they have offensively and the expectation that Ben Johnson will take them to another step offensively, like Caleb Williams would become even in more command of that offense. You've moved DJ Moore, so now you have guys like Burden, Loveland, Odunze being able to step up more in the offensive passing game. Getting a defensive X factor would be huge, because right now, while Chicago's defense did play well and get a lot of turnovers, if you pointed to me the X factor on that team on defense, and I like some of their players, like Kevin Byard has always been, I'm just got a soft spot for safeties, because as a Steelers fan, I always love Polamalu and Reed kind of like mirroring each other as safeties. So I've always liked that. I've always just liked the position in general. Eric Weddle, one of my favorites too. We're looking at Byard was there, had a very good year forcing turnovers. Nashawn Wright was very much like, Deron Bland was a few years ago. Was getting burned a lot, but was also getting a lot of big plays, pass deflections, interceptions. That can change a lot year to year, especially if you're not like a ball hawk that's been established previously. That can change a lot. I think if you're the Bears, getting someone like Maxx Crosby, who generates insane pressures on a team where he's basically double and triple teamed because there's no other real threat on the Raiders, going to the Chicago Bears and either A, being able to draw those double and triple teams to allow other guys to get pressures, or B, causing those pressures himself, that's going to lead to more errant passes, more errant decisions, and allows your defense to have more of a chance of keeping up that high turnover rate that they had a year ago. So if you're the Bears and you can find a way to incorporate some of those draft picks and say, let's do this, let's make a run, let's make a move for Max, I think it is by far the best option. I think it is such a huge option. There's not really another pass rusher that's available that's remotely even close. You can argue maybe trying for Trey Hendrickson, but I think when people would argue who's better between the two and who's the better option, it's Max, and it's not even close. Let me double check also too, because I know Hendrickson's going to be like 31. I believe Maxx, Maxx you're getting at 29 to start the year. So he'll be 29 in August. You're looking at a younger player who I think is significantly more of an impact. And also, in comparison, Hendrickson is coming off like a genuine injury where it seems like Maxx could have just kept playing, right? So I think if you're the Bears, you got to take a big swing. Go out, give up a few draft picks, because you have a lot of your core. Like, you just need an X factor in defense. You have your quarterback. You can go out and get Maxx now while Caleb Williams is still on his rookie contract and make a swing for a Super Bowl. Because I'll tell you right now, talk to Detroit. Super Bowl windows are not as large as they appear, right? Even if you have a great quarterback. Look at Detroit. We thought Detroit would be competing for years. All of a sudden, a couple years later, they were fourth in the division. Now, I do think they bounced back this year, all that said. But these windows for being a Super Bowl contender are not long, and you cannot afford to be passive in those moments. I think if you're the Chicago Bears, you take a swing, you go out, you go get Maxx. The other team that is very intriguing that could also make a swing, but I don't think that they should, in my opinion. That could be biased because I'm just not a huge fan of them, but it is the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys have been looked at, and of course, they made a lot of interest, right? They obviously moved Micah Parsons. They moved Micah Parsons to get this draft capital, right? Now, they also were able to acquire Quinnen Williams. They got Kenny Clark back in that deal with Micah Parsons. Now the question is, if you're Dallas, right? Because you're, as mediocre as Dallas was last year, you could make a very strong argument. If Philadelphia doesn't figure out what's going on offensively, the NFC East is fairly open. Jaden Daniels will come back healthy. We'll see what the Commanders do in terms of free agency in the draft, adding pieces that'll be actually younger. It cannot be the oldest roster in the league. We'll see where Washington goes there. Giants feel like there's some hype there with John Harbaugh, Jackson Dart in year 2, Cam Scadaboo will be back. They'll hopefully get Malik Neighbors healthy at some point. I've heard reports that it won't be at the start of the year, but, you hope to get him back as well. And then you bring in a head coach like John Harbaugh. They'll definitely be better. Like, I don't think they're just winning only 4 games next year. Giants will be better. And then Philadelphia, are they going to figure it out offensively, or are they going to in for another down year? We'll have to see if they can nail the coordinator positions. If you're Dallas, right now, you're spending a lot of money offensively. In Dak, you're spending a lot of money in CD, and then you're going to place the franchise tag on George Pickens. So that's a lot of money concentrated in just 3 players offensively. And I believe they just, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they did re-sign Javonte Williams. I believe, unless I read it wrong and it was like, I was thinking of a different back in like Rico Dowdle. But no. So they are extending him 3 years, $24 million. They're paying him $8 million a year. So now you're keeping your running back, right? They also moved some money. They freed up some cap space by adjusting both Dak and Tyler Smith's contracts. I think if you are the Dallas Cowboys, the best thing for the best thing for the Dallas Cowboys right now is to try to improve their defense. Because they've already got most of the things that they need offensively. They already like Javonte Williams. He had an underrated year last year. They liked him enough to extend him for 3 more years. You've got your 1 and 2 at wide receiver. Dak's going to be your quarterback. That's not going to change. The only other thing you need is you need to shore up your defense. And your defense, to their credit, when they traded for Quinn Williams, there was a very significant change in that defense. After, of course, trading away Micah, defense was bad. They get Quinn Williams, the defense is a little bit better. If you could add Maxx Crosby and say with your first round pick, I doubt. Now again, with the rumors of a degenerative ACL, Caleb Downs could fall to a lot of different teams. He could go as high as 2. He could fall straight up out of the top 10. It's very especially because the safety class is also very stacked in general. It's a very good safety class in the 2026 draft. So if Dallas really wanted to try to strike at a time where they believed Philadelphia was vulnerable and make a move to go say, why not go out and make a move for a Maxx Crosby while he's available? And it seems odd. And if you're Jerry Jones, it would just seem like an odd move. But if Jerry felt like it was available, don't you think he'd kind of do it? I feel like those are the 2 main overall teams that would make the moves, though. Chicago and Dallas. I think those are the most two. If I'm the Raiders' perspective, I'm not dealing him in the West, in the AFC West. There's just not a chance. I'd really rather not want to do it in the AFC, in any of the AFC. I consider Detroit maybe alongside Aiden Hutchinson, but I think they have significant other issues to fix. Like, they have a lot of things that they will have to fix to get out of last place, especially in a crowded NFC North. So I don't think they'd be willing to just give up a lot of draft capital for Maxx at that point. And outside of that, I don't know if there's a team that would really have the assets to do it, have such a strong need for it, and then not have significant needs elsewhere. Those feel like the two strongest teams, either Dallas or Chicago. I'm trying to think of, it would be funny, you know what? No, I was about to say like a funny one might be the Panthers, but the Panthers still have a bunch of issues too. Like, they only were 8-9 next year, and I'm gonna be honest, I think the winner of that division comes down to Falcons Saints, and it really depends on if Michael Penix is good. Like, that division is always up in the air in the NFC South, and I think if you're Maxx, I don't even think, and the crazy thing is, I don't even think Maxx necessarily wants to go to a contender. I think only a contender would trade for him, but I don't even think Maxx necessarily would want to go to a contender. He just wants to go to play. Because I think like the Raiders did a really dumb thing by benching him. If they hadn't benched him, they wouldn't even be in this predicament. They wouldn't be pressured to trade Maxx at all. But yet, the Raiders are going to be the Raiders, tank for Mendoza, and bench Maxx. Like, just goes to show you that tanking doesn't always go your way. But we'll see what ends up happening. I'm very interested to see where Maxx does go. I think those are the two most likely destinations, just because I don't think anyone else has the strong enough need, and I don't think anyone else is in a position where they can give up enough of that draft capital. So I think that's where a lot of that would change for me, where I would see that. So, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. I'm kind of excited. You know what? I'm excited just because I don't want Maxx on the Raiders. Like, I'm sorry. Until the Raiders prove to me that they're like kind of capable and talented, I'd rather just see Maxx pass rush on a good team than always have to be like, man, the only good thing about the Raiders is Maxx Crosby. Like, now there can just be like, or at least defensively, I guess. You've got guys like Brock Bowers and Ashton Jinty, but I mean, the Raiders were a disaster to watch it last year. So I mean, I guess there will be Mendoza. Hopefully Mendoza will make the Raiders more entertaining. That's we just gotta hope and pray, because I'm a little sick of watching just the Raiders be as bad as they are, and I could honestly care less about them as a team, just personally. But I'm a little annoyed having to just watch bad football. I don't like watching bad football. I love football and I'll always watch it, but if I always had to choose, I'd much rather watch good football over bad football. So yeah, get Maxx out of there. Get Maxx on a contender. Jay is in the building. Let me give a round of applause to Jay. Jay making it out as well. Jay saying, the way Maxx perceives the Raiders, wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders just deal him to the Jets as an FU. If we had to watch Maxx Crosby go from the Raiders to the Jets, could you imagine that too? The Jets give all this capital for Sauce just to trade it away for Maxx Crosby. Like, what sense does that make? Speaking of the Jets, completely out of not out of complete context, I guess, but just in general, I saw that the Jets were doing their homework on Tua. Do you know how much that's kind of suck as, like, your team needs a quarterback? Like, I get it. Quarterback free agent class is bad. In general, outside of Mendoza, it's a very weak quarterback class in the draft. And you're a Jets fan, and you got to sit there waiting for your franchise to do homework on Tua. What homework needs to be done? Like, just... Really? Like, has he been officially cut yet? I don't think he's been officially cut. I don't even know if the Dolphins have announced they've officially cut him. So, I mean, even then, like, I mean, if he's not cut, like, if your own division rival's willing to trade you a quarterback, it's usually not a good thing. Like, it's very rarely a good thing, you know? Hold on. Let me see if any reports came out. But I know it's highly likely. I don't think they... Oh my gosh. He could have a dead cap hit of nearly $100 million. Oh my god, dude. That's like Saints level of dead cap. That's terrible. Miami might be bad for a while, dude. Unless somehow one of the quarterbacks in the late rounds they draft is decent, or Quinn Ewers takes like a crazy step forward, which is so unlikely. But my gosh, they might be terrible for a long time. Jay, with the owner's bowl cut is the best thing on the owner's bowl cut. Oh my gosh, it's not Al. It's the Davises, but it's not Al. It's not Al Davis. It's the, my God, what's his first name? Mark Davis. I said Mike and Mark and combined them into Mark. Yeah, it's so disastrous. Oh my gosh, dude. I'm just looking at this one picture. It looks there. I don't know who told him that was in. Do you think somebody at the office just messes with the owner of the Raiders to tell him, dude, no, you're rocking it. It looks great. Because I don't think I've ever seen like that haircut outside of anywhere else other than like movies. I don't think I've seen that haircut in real life outside of Mark Davis and like movies where like there's like a goofy character. That's it. I don't think it exists anywhere else. Like imagine your starting quarterback. Like, dude, you know what? I have a challenge. Anybody watching right now, Photoshop random quarterbacks with Mark Davis's style of hair. Just do that. Send them to Primetime with Phil. Send them to YouTube. Send them to my YouTube. Send them to Instagram. Just send them to me, and I'll do a montage of just the headshots of even players, coaches with Mark Davis's haircut, and then we're gonna ask Mark if he thinks they look good or not. We're gonna go interview Mark Davis. Because I could not, I can't. You got to be making so much money to get away with that hair. I'm sorry. You have to have so much money in the bank. That's like unfair. It's unfair. It's like he's trying to nerf himself. It's disrespectful to everyone else. Get regular hair. And then Jay, mashed potatoes to applesauce peak Tua. Oh my gosh. Dude, I say this, like, I don't want someone having, like, CTE brain because it's just not good for anybody involved. But you really would have, Tua was never a scrambler to begin with. Never. Never was a scrambler. Never was a Kyler Murray, a Lamar Jackson, a Cam Newton, nobody. And somehow, this man still thinks it's a good idea. Like, just stay the pocket passer you're supposed to be. Just stay that nice little pocket pass, and he would have been fine. He would have been fine if he would, like... And I worry for Jackson Dart for the same reason, man. You do not need to be diving headfirst into other dudes with helmets. Who, by the way, you have to understand this, right? When you're any player, these guys can go, like... we've seen them at top speed, go 20 miles an hour, right? You have to realize there's another guy from the opposite direction going 20 miles an hour the other way. That means this guy's going to 20, this guy's going 20. The way physics works is that he's going to hit you, and all of a sudden you're not going 20 miles per hour forward most of the time. You're getting stonewalled, especially if you're a quarterback, right? Like if you're Derrick Henry, maybe you just plow forward and he slows you down slightly. But if you're a quarterback, you're getting your head hit. You're getting your noggin whacked. It's a problem. You can't be allowing that to happen to yourself. Jays will say, some young intern working in the mailroom like, Mark, looking good, brother. We clubbing this weekend? Knowing Mark picking the tab up. Like, here you go, man. Like, yo, Mark, fit looks good, man. Check got cash. We going clubbing or what? And then just not bang. Oh, my gosh. I hope, I aspire to be that intern. I aspire to be the man who works for the Raiders that goes out with Mark Davis on like I don't know, like after like a Sunday night win, like I am Mark. Let's go hit the tables, man. we playing poker, we playing Texas Hold'em, we playing poker, blackjack. Where are we going? We're playing baccarat. Come on, let's go hit the table. Oh my god. Anyway, but yeah, Maxx Crosby, probably Cowboys or Bears. Quietly, I don't even know. I really don't. I don't know where else he would go. No one else really has the... if Seattle makes that trade, they'd be crazy, but I don't think they will. I don't think they have the capital to do it. I don't think they have enough draft capital to do it. They might, but I don't think they would. It's down to probably Dallas or Chicago. She's also said Mark's girlfriend is in her 20s too, I think. Oh my gosh. You know what? Mr. Steal Your Girl, here I come. Here I come. Average young white guy coming in to steal a billionaire's girlfriend. Will it happen? That sounds like a Mr. Beast video. I bet this white guy $10,000 for him to steal this billionaire's girlfriend. Oh, I would watch that. I think I'd watch that. I'll give tips to Jimmy. I think it'll be a great idea. The last thing, I'm gonna get into it. It's kind of early to get in the last thing because I normally go for an hour, but I'm gonna get in the last thing now. We're gonna switch it up. I'm going over to the NBA because I got to talk about the big news of the anomaly, guys. The anomaly is making his return. Woo! Woo! The anomaly himself, Jayson Tatum. There's got to be better nicknames for Jayson Tatum. Someone should have already come up with them by now. This is the anomaly for a guy who has a lot of skills that a lot of NBA players do. Anyway, Jayson Tatum is set to make his return. I believe it was, I think we were looking at 10 months? It was a fairly speedy recovery, especially because a lot of people had him coming back in early April. He is set to make his return tomorrow against the Dallas Mavericks. So this is, for me, this one is very, very interesting for a couple reasons. Number one, it's a very early return, as I just mentioned. It's a pretty shocking one. But number two, I think it's great for the Celtics for how early he's back. Because if he had returned at like a certain point later, you're obviously going to worry about how quickly is he going to gel back into the offense that's been doing it the entire season without him. Right? The Celtics have been without Jayson Tatum. They were basically, they were 50-50 odds to make the playoffs at the start of the year without him. They've been exceeded expectations to start the year for a lot of people coming into the year. Look at Indiana. Indiana without Halliburton has completely crumbled. Boston's still going strong without him. They're going to get him back. And obviously, there's going to be some time, probably a few weeks before Tatum maybe really gets going. But, if you're Boston, all of a sudden, don't you feel like kind of the favorites to win the East? Even if you get Tatum at, let's say he's not going to be 100% either. I don't think he'll be at a complete 100%. He might be at like 80, 85, maybe even 75% this first game. But if you're Boston, don't you feel like now you kind of control the East significantly more than you would? Because, I like the Knicks. I do. I'm kind of a Knicks hater, but, I like the Knicks. But there's a bunch of overall, I think, especially issues with, I understand, last night I was watching them against the Thunder. I think they obviously got robbed. There were some bad calls by the officiating there. But I also feel like for three quarters, they struggled offensively. For 3 full quarters, they did struggle, especially in the first half. In the first half, they were held to 40. Their third quarter, they stormed in, dropped 80 points. It was a little different after that, right? So, as impressive as it is, and it is, don't get me wrong, it's very impressive to look at the overall pedigree of these other teams in the East, but we keep talking about, is Cleveland actually fully all the way there? People think they're contenders. I never really buy Cleveland unless somehow LeBron returns right now and goes plays for them. If we're talking if we're talking Pistons, there's some still nerve concerns with them. People are always talking about how they feel fraudulent. People want to talk about Boston as frauds, but if Boston gets Tatum back, it kind of feels like it's the Celtics' conference to lose. Especially when you consider, again, the start of the year. So I don't know. And one thing also about the Celtics that is a little off topic, but it's the Celtics. It's not actually off topic. Jaylen Brown has been talked about in MVP conversations. In fringe MVP conversations. First of all, stop it. I get it. What he's doing is impressive, and the Celtics being better than expectations coming into the year is impressive. But Jaylen Brown is not like an MVP. I don't, because for an MVP, there's really only two guys. I still think it's SGA and it's Jokic. And the reason why is because when those guys are off the court, their teams are worse by nearly every metric. Whereas when Jaylen Brown is off the court, the Celtics are worse in some metrics, but are also better in others, right? So it's debatable if you could really sit there, say, as an MVP of the league, you would have this, like, I feel like to be the most valuable player, like, without them, oh my God, this team's booty. Team is not the same team. And I feel like that applies to SGA and Jokic, but it does not really apply to Jaylen Brown as much. And to be honest, we wouldn't be having much of that conversation if there wasn't the minimum 65 game rule, which I think I've seen a lot of people talk about. I think it's kind of dumb. I understand what the incentive was, but that hasn't changed. Players still sit out due to time just because the season is so long. You know what? Like, it's still going to be an issue. Players are going to miss games regardless. Like, that hasn't changed. That won't change remotely. And now, I mean, what? There are players, like, who won't win awards now? Like, now on awards. I'm just looking to see, like, the list. Like, because there was a huge list of all of these guys who you can only miss. Like, and I get it. Like, you want guys to be playing. You don't want guys just resting for the sake of resting and not actually playing the games. But in reality, I mean, a lot of these guys, like Jokic misses 16 games. Okay, if Jokic misses, let's say Jokic misses 18 games and is still the best player clearly in the league. Why on earth can he not? Why is he excluded from awards for that? I get what they tried to do, but it was never going to work. And it's going to feel like, you know how, like, the Pro Bowl works? Where, like, the Pro Bowl now, players don't play in it because it's worthless. Like, it's going to become the Pro Bowl. Awards are just going to become Pro Bowl awards, and awards are going to become meaningless. Like, it's going to have that effect because you're like, well, actually, this player played better that year than that guy. It's just he missed 18 games. And it's like, the NBA season is too long. That's your issue. The NBA season is too long, and frankly, it's too difficult for most teams to be good these days. It's super hard. Like, look at all the same teams. The same teams that are bad are still the same teams that sit there at the bottom. Like, come on. It doesn't make sense. The Wizards are still terrible. The Kings are still a wreck, right? I mean, you've got, like, look at New Orleans. Look at the Pelicans. When are they ever really better than an 8 seed, right? And I don't mean, like, I get it. These teams have definitely made the playoffs in past years. But I don't mean, like, making it into the play-in or being an 8 seed or being a 10 seed. I mean genuinely being competitive and having chances to do things. Like, when? It's been, like, a decade for a lot of these teams. When has New Orleans ever really had a shot, right? When is someone like the Wizards in the last 10 years really had a shot? Never. Like, not remotely. Not even close. So why is that something that we're not looking to do, is making it a little easier for teams to get better? Like, it's just because teams think the only chance they have of getting better is tanking and landing a generational superstar. That's not true. I mean, I'll give you an example. Right now. Phoenix, very much so, as a Suns guy, Phoenix, I thought we were cooked. I thought we were cooked for the next decade because there was a point we didn't have a draft pick, not a first round pick, a single draft pick until I turned 30. I'm 24. It was ridiculous, right? And look at that. Right now, they went out. They said, we're going to go get scrappy guys, and we're just going to play. We're going to play hard. And guess what? They're in the mix right now. They're in the mix they're trying to get out of the plan, which means I kind of have to root against the Lakers. But I'm fine to do that. I'm not a Luka guy. I mean, I'm not as much as Luka guy as many other people, because Luka made me witness the equivalent for me of what was 9/11. I had to watch Chris Paul hit a big three to cut the lead to 42. Like, I feel I get, like, I gotta say this. If there is a Falcons fan who is also a Suns fan, I really feel for you, because I cannot imagine living through that pain. Not only do you have to live with the pain of 28-3 basically every day at the end of March and so much for the rest of your life, but you also have to live through the fact that there is a meme that just floats around that is just Chris Paul hits a big three, a clutch three to cut the lead to 42. You have to know that those memes are there and those memes never go away. Like, they will never be gone. They will be there forever, and you have to live with that. And that sucks, because I have to live with one of them. I could not imagine having to live with both. It's terrible. It's awful. It makes me sick to my stomach that I still have to live with that. Anyway, I was going to look up NBA standings real quick. That's what I was going to do. I'm like, why am I looking in this tab and looking for something? Yeah, so, Suns are right now. Oh, my God. 2.5 games back pissing me off. Not playing as well, though. It's mostly because we've been banged up, but I mean, we're still healthily ahead of, like, the Warriors, Clippers, and Blazers, but, like, by, like, 4 games. I guess it's not that healthy, but it's healthier than I'm used to. But, I mean, my goodness. My goodness, what a train wreck. But, listen, back to Tatum. It's gonna take some time for him to get back into the offense overall. It's gonna take, but I think with the versatility that he provides on both offense and defense, they will be better. It might not be right away. It'll look a little clunky, but they will get there, and they will probably. I'll be honest. Let me look. I still think the Pistons will probably have the 1 in the East, but I feel fairly confident in saying the Celtics will be the 2. Despite any sort of problems that they might have, because I mean, I get a schedule, please. Wow. All right. Well, guess the functionality of Google is just terrible, huh? But they will 100%, I think, be the 2. I mean, they have, to be fair, they have it tough in the next several games. Like after the Mavs, which is honestly a good game for him to come back on at home against a bad team. I think it's important that he comes back that game to get his bearings underneath him, because then you've got Cavs on Sunday, at Cavs on Sunday, at Spurs on Tuesday, at Thunder on Thursday, and then you'll get the Wizards Saturday. So like you have a 3-game stretch there. I think it's good. I think that's going to be an interesting test, and I think it's good. I think it's good that he's getting reps against very difficult teams. At the same time, it's going to be tough thinking there's a chance that you lose those games, but I think it's important for the Celtics overall, because when you have Tatum competing against the competition you're likely to see, or competition you're trying to beat when you get to the other side, because I mean most of this is going to be Thunder Spurs, of course, obviously you might face in the finals, but of course Cavs you might meet on the Eastern side. So definitely a Mavs one, good one to get him kind of get his feet wet, back at it, get his toes a little dirty, and then get in against the Cavs, against the Spurs, against the Thunder with a little bit potentially momentum built up from what he may have done or not done against Dallas. So, and I mean, outside of that, that's really the toughest stretch. I mean, yeah, the Suns are on here again. Warriors, not really scary. But Suns, Warriors, Timberwolves, you all get at home. Hornets may be scary. Knicks in April. That'll probably be a huge deciding one if it's still close by then. Is April 9th, the Boston goes to New York to play the Knicks. That could be an early like preview of them matching up again in the playoffs. That should be exciting to see. Definitely keep your eyes out for that one on April 9th. But and then of course I gotta watch. We're gonna probably, dang it, I hate to say it, we're probably gonna lose to them March 16th when we play in Boston. But you know what? It is what it is. It is what it is. The Suns season has actually been better than what I could have possibly imagined. I thought it was going to be a train wreck, and it's actually been tolerable. Not just tolerable, fun. Forget tolerable. It's actually been fun. I was not expecting it to be that. But it's 7:54 right now. I got 10 more minutes. I'm probably going to actually cut it a little bit short, I think, today. I'm going to cut it a few minutes short. I got everything I need to get in, but that's all I got. Ooh, Jay saying he's already got a few quarterbacks with the Mark Davis haircut. I'm excited to see him. We'll get them set up for Monday's episode. I'll definitely get them set up for free Rephil episode 50. That'll be our little trick, the Mark Davis haircut. I might have to order a wig just for the event, just to have it for me, just to have a little Mark Davis little hairdo. That would be really sick. Anyways, that's all I had for this free refill episode, talking trades and talking NBA. What games are on tonight? Let me get you guys the list of games, because I know there are already some games probably going on right now. Yeah, Mavs, Magic. I get to tune into Suns, Bulls at 9. That should be a win for us. I hope it is. I really do. If we lose at home to the Bulls, then I'll just be kind of sad. especially because I have to stay up. Because, like, again, on the East Coast, it's either like 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock games to watch any West Coast team, which is a little infuriating. But yeah, we got Rockets Warriors right now. Wizards Jazz are going. Heat and Nets are playing. And then in a few minutes, we've got Timberwolves Raptors going. Spurs Pistons. Again, these 10 o'clock games, man. 10:30 on Friday for it's Lakers playing the Pacers. So it's like it kind of is, it is what it is. But we'll see what happens there. And then NHL, of course, also playing, and then MLB spring training stuff is still going on. Guardians, White Sox. Very exciting. Anyway, that is all I've got. That's all I've got for this evening. I hope to see you guys Monday, where we will do free refill episode 50. I keep saying I'm going to do stuff on Saturday. Honestly, it's going to be hit or miss. It's going to be whether or not I'm feeling up to it. It really depends, because sometimes I think Saturday I'm probably going to try to get a haircut, so maybe if I'm feeling up for it after that, then I will be streaming with the new hairdo. It's probably Minecraft. Actually, it might be something else. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what goes on. But I've also been noticing that the stream numbers have been bigger as well recently, so that's been really cool to see. Like today, I think I've been titling things better based on like what happened in the week, which has been good. Like the entirety of this week has been like pretty decent, and then ever since the Olympics, I feel like is done pretty decently in viewership. So very excited about that. But that's all I have. So again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I am tuning out.